Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel where I come to you as my real and true self, and I don't apologize for that. So, for today's video, I decided to do my grandma's house, and this is a build mode. This is my very first build mode. I was like playing the game and I spontaneously just decided to do my grandma's house. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to build my grandma's house. It's going to be very nostalgic. So, this is me building my grandma's house, which it was kind of hard to build this house, not because the floor plan was difficult. Like, I remember the floor plan 100%, but it was more so like the little decor that they had, which they didn't have a lot, but just remembering like what kind of walls they had, the windows, the little like knickknacks, like where the sink was, where the stove was, where the refrigerator was, what else? Like the type of roof that they had, the fence and like the cement walls that they had, just like little things like that. I felt was very difficult because I'm basically like pulling from my childhood memory. I think I only went to my grandma's house like maybe I want to say probably like 5 times, maybe more, maybe less, but it was like around that kind of number. So, and all those times that I went, I don't even like remember my grandma's house. I remember my grandma's house from the first time that I went. So this build mode is from my memory of the first time that I went to El Salvador. And that was around like maybe like 6 or 7 years old. No, I was probably older. I was like maybe 7 or 8 years old. That's like around the time when I first went to El Salvador. So this is my grandma's Salvadoran house. I don't think that I mentioned that. This is my grandma's Salvadoran house. I think I'm gonna build. Actually, I know that I'm going to build my grandma's Guatemalan house from my dad's side of the family. But for this video, I decided to do my Salvadoran grandma's house. The house is very small. The house was very small. The house doesn't exist anymore. It was very small. It was very poor. I did have some fun moments, but living there was very different. Living there for like, I think I was there for maybe like 2 weeks or a week. Living there for that time period was hard. And I don't know how they lived there, honestly. But I guess it's because they were born there and they are used to the environment. And since I was born here, I guess it was just harder for me. But I did have like a bunch of fond memories from my vacations to El Salvador because all my cousins were there when I was younger. And obviously, my grandma was there, my older brother was there. So we had a lot of fun. We would go to the beach like all the time. We would walk to the beach actually because it was like walking distance. We didn't have to walk far to go to the beach. So, oh my God, now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have put the house in Solani instead of Newcrest. Oh my God, why didn't I think of that? Okay, I think I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna relocate the house and I'm gonna put it in Solani because it was literally at walking distance. So we would just like walk to the beach, and I think we went to the beach like a lot, and we would go to there was like a pool right next to it, but it was like a pool made out of the natural rocks that were there at the beach. And it was like salt water that would go in from the waves that would like go into the pool. It was a lot of fun though. I think I want to say that was the only thing that we would do. We would go to the beach, we would go to people's places to visit, or people would come to my grandma's place to visit, and then we would go to a neighbor's place to watch telenovelas. Because back then, you guys already know for my fellow Latinos, there was like the best kids telenovelas. I think at that time, Ami de la Mochila Azul was running the first time we went to El Salvador, which translates to La Niña de Mochila Azul, the girl of the blue backpack. Yeah, that's literally what it translates to. But yeah, we would like go upstairs. I guess not really. We would go uphill to the neighbor's place and we would watch that. And some of our cousins lived in the neighbor's place as well. So we would just go over there, hang out with them. She would, the older lady that lived there, she would feed us like snacks and stuff. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think I actually found a picture of, it wasn't like a big picture. It was like a small corner of the house, and it showed that the house was actually made out of brick, but it was like a uncolored gray like brick. So I think I'm gonna have to go back and change that as well, just because I want it to be very, very close looking to my grandma's place. I actually started off this build on a different lot in Newcrest. It was like, I think it was a 20 by 15. And as I was building it, I noticed that it was not going to be big enough because my grandma they were poor, but they had a nice plot of land and they had like a really, really, really big backyard. So I moved it to a 30 by 20 and it was still not big enough. So I believe this is either a 40 by 20 or a 40 by 30 lot. And I personally still feel that it's not big enough, but it's close because I don't think there's anything that's longer. I don't need something that's wide. I need something that's long. So I think this is like the longest lot that Sims 4 has. So this is where I left it. Oh, right now, okay, you guys, if you guys just comment down in the bottom and tell me if you guys guessed what I'm building right now. And I'm going to tell you guys in like 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 2.5. Or would it go down? 1.5. It would go down. 2, 1.5, 1, half, 0. Okay, so this was actually where you would bathe. And it was exactly like this. It was just a square little room. And it had no door. So you would have to put like a towel over the entrance so that no one would be able to see you. Sometimes it didn't even have that. So I would get my sister or my mom to hold a towel over the entrance so that no one could see you. Because if someone was coming from the side of the house, they would see you naked bathing. Sorry. So that's where you would bathe, and there was like, oh God, how do you say this in English? El choro. There was like a choro that would like go inside of like this giant cement kind of, I don't even know. Would you say it's like a sink? Choro means like a faucet. There was like an outdoors faucet, and it was directly like over this giant cement, really deep, I guess we'll just call it sink. We'll just call it a sink. And it would fill up with water whenever like the water was running, because there was like a certain time that the water would run and then they would cut off the water. So you would have to make sure to fill that up. And so the water would get filled up, and there was like a bucket inside where you can just pick up some of that water and then you would dump it on yourself, and that's how you would shower. Get your shampoo, and then get the bucket and just keep dumping water on yourself. And I remember at the bottom of that sink, at the bottom of that sink, there was like this little crab inside. And I was like, what? Why is there a crab in here? But nevertheless, we still took a shower like that. And there was actually one outside also. And that one was used to wash the dishes, brush your teeth. And you would still get like a bucket. You wouldn't like dump it in there. You would get a bucket and you would like wash it outside. You would wash your teeth, you would wash your clothes, and then there was like these ropes where you could just hang your clothes to dry. But yeah, that's literally how you would bathe, because they didn't have a shower head or really any running water technically. And then, oh my God, the restroom was even worse. The restroom was literally an outhouse. It was like Shrek's outhouse. And imagine going to the restroom, having to go potty or number two in the middle of the night in a very, very dark, really big backyard with a bunch of trees. And like, you know how your brain basically like tricks you at night and it makes you see things that aren't actually there? Yeah, imagine a little child going to that outhouse that was at the very end of the lot of the backyard, and you had to like cross, all these trees and all these chickens. So that was like very scary. And people interrupting me all the time. What was I doing? What was I saying? What was I saying? Oh yeah. No, I don't know. What was I saying? It was the outhouse. Oh, it wasn't a flushable toilet. It was a toilet that was literally made out of cement, and you couldn't flush it. So all the fecal matter would sit in there, and there was like these giant cockroaches inside, and that's where you would just have to relieve yourself. And there was like spiders in there also, and there was no door. The only thing that would cover it was like this cloth. That was the door. Oh God, this just sounds so bad. It really does just sound so bad, but it was a lot of fun. It was a new experience, and it gave us a little taste of how I should appreciate my parents more and thank them for immigrating to the United States. But even though I say this, like everyone there was just always happy. They were always happy, regardless of their living conditions. And now that I'm older, I see that now. As a child, obviously, I didn't see that. I was an ungrateful little kid. But yeah, this house actually doesn't exist anymore. My grandma passed away, and well, actually, my grandma lived with my older brother, his baby mama, and his 2 kids. But my older brother and his oldest son, they got their papers, so they came here. And when they came here, my grandma came also, but obviously she only has like a visitor visa, so she has to go back home after a while. So obviously she couldn't come back to the house by herself because she had Alzheimer's. So she actually went like a few doors uphill, and that's where my cousin lived, and that's where she lived. So no one was living in this house. So it literally got, I don't know the details of what happened to it, but it got like knocked down. So that house doesn't exist anymore, which is unfortunate. It was my uncle's house. Technically, he's like the owner of the house, but he built it so that my grandma could live there. And I mean, he passed away also. So now we can't really go back there to visit the house. Maybe we can go back there and visit like the ruins of the house or the plot of land that was there, but I think it's not very likely because there really isn't a lot of people there that is family and that we still know. So that's up in the air. Oh man. Now I'm just like putting all these like little things. A lot of this stuff I don't remember it being there. I'm just putting it there for the sake of putting it there. Because this little area right here where the laundry detergent is, I don't remember it being there, honestly. I do remember this part. This is where you would like brush your teeth and wash the clothes and all that. And there are the ropes for the clothes to dry. And the roof, I think that's the material that is like the shipping containers. I'm pretty sure it is. It looks very closely. Okay. We're finally like getting closer to the end of this build. There was a lot of trees, honestly. There was a lot of trees in the backyard and there wasn't really a lot of grass. It was more so dirt and like mud. But there were some areas that there was grass, but for the most part it was mainly dirt. And I put the chicken coop in there because I want the lot to have chickens, but they didn't have a chicken coop. Like the chickens would just sleep in the trees, which if you guys didn't know, chickens sleep in trees. My grandma had a lot of chickens and a lot of baby chicks. Oh, this is so bad. Like, this is really bad. Actually, no, I already started the story. I'm gonna say it. It's so bad. Please don't judge. My sister, we were ignorant, okay? We were ignorant children. And my sister and my little brother, when we went for the first time, was 3 years old, I believe. No. He wasn't 3 years old. He was younger. He was like 2 years old. Maybe 1 or 2. So the first time when we went, he was like 1 or 2 years old, and my grandma had a bunch of baby chicks, and him and my sister wanted to see if the baby chicks could swim. I think you guys know where I'm going with this. You know, like they thought maybe the baby chicks could swim. They wanted to see if they could swim. And, you know, unfortunately, some moved on to chicken heaven. You know? That is so bad. Oh my God. That's so bad. Like, actually. But, I mean, we were young. We didn't know. We're like more. What's the opposite? What's the synonym? No, what's the antonym of ignorant? I don't know, but we know better now. We know better. We don't stand for animal cruelty or anything like that. So, that was a very dark time. Actually, I honestly don't even remember if I don't remember that moment when the chickens, you know, the baby chicks, you know, I don't remember that at all. I do remember them trying to see if they could swim, but I don't remember like the chicks actually, you know, yeah. That is so bad. Okay, we're almost done. I wanted to put some more tropical trees. So if you guys don't know, the Salvador like vacation jungle thing that is in The Sims 4 is El Salvador. So I got some of those trees and put it in the backyard because I had too many normal trees. And like you already know, El Salvador is a tropical country. So I wanted to put more tropical like bushes, plants, and trees. So I went and replaced those for the sake of like the lot, I put a mailbox. They didn't have a mailbox, and also a trash can. They didn't have a trash can. In Central America, and I'm pretty sure in parts of like Mexico and other countries in Latin America, they don't really have trash cans in certain areas. Like, my grandma lived in what you would call here the country. So they didn't have trash cans, and they didn't have someone that would like come and pick up their trash. They would just put it in the pile and they would burn their trash, which is actually really, really bad for the environment. But they would put it in a pile and they would burn their trash, which I'm pretty sure that it's what they still do today. So yeah, they didn't have a trash can. They had a trash can inside, like in the kitchen where you can throw away stuff, but then they would get that little trash can and they would dump it outside in a pile and they would put it ablaze. And that's how they would get rid of their fire. In the front of the house, I know I put like a sand kind of thing, but I think it was more so cement. But yeah, if you guys just saw, I put some hammocks. I downloaded some mods because like that's literally how the living room looked. But these are like the finished touches. I think I'm gonna add some more windows later on, but this is like the finished house. This is how my grandma's house looked. And there wasn't any doors in any of the inside the house. It was just a front door house and the back door house. Does that make sense? The door in the front and the door in the back, those were the only doors that were inside the house. Everything else was just open, and they had like little cloths in front of it. For my next build, I'm going to build my grandma's house from Guatemala. So this concludes the video, and I hope you guys liked it, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!